Testing, 1, 2, 3, testing. Welcome, survivors. This is Airy Knight of the Pseudo Posse, and for this base build, I wanted to make a simple, minimalist design that even a new base builder could make, and this is the result here. The base is built with a small variety of block shapes, shocking by my standards, I know, and can absolutely destroy late game hordes. Today we'll go over how the base works and how to build it. Let's get this party started. Zombies begin their journey by climbing a ladder 16 blocks high. 15 blocks is the minimum I usually use to avoid destroy everything mode, or rage mode for short, but upon reaching the top, they are greeted with a row of wedge narrow lows. Any wedge block wider than this will cause issues as climbing zombies will instead start bashing on the blocks. This will lead them into the cube 3/4 zone to force zombies into a crouched position. The other feature on the outside are 2 rows of railing diagonal shapes. These are extremely important because zombies tend to climb so fast they overcrowd, tending to push each other on top of each other up through the roof if given the chance. Simply having a larger wall in front of the roof is no good, as they'll just bash through the wall onto the roof and rush towards your position for the kill. The railing diagonals prevent this eventuality by forcing zombies up and away from the base, culminating in them falling to the ground. This overall mechanism doubles as protection against demos as well. Normally when demos reach the top of the ladder, they walk endlessly into the wedge narrow low shapes without attacking. However, zombies from below can lift them up, causing demos to attack. The railing diagonals help force them off, but if left alone for the whole horde, they could eventually bust a block open, thus starting a cascade of failure. To prevent that, it is highly advisable for the player to shoot at the demo, which can help knock him off quicker, as well as to eventually kill him. There isn't a direct way to kill dogs, but as long as your foundations are at least concrete, a few dogs won't collapse you during the horde. Now that we've explained how the exterior works, let's take a peek on the inside. You'll immediately notice the ceiling is lined with cube 3/4 shapes as previously mentioned to force zombie crawls. After 3 rows of cube shapes are 1 row of pillar 0.05 meter middles, followed by a row of the plate quarter shapes. Beyond these are full cubes topped with horizontally placed bookcase open-ended shapes. Above these shapes are cube half blocks instead of the cube 3/4 shapes. Finally, the fighting position barricade is comprised of the cube 7-meter round catwalk rails only 0-1 shape. These shapes are easy to melee through and block hop spit, so they work perfectly for the setup. Here's the concept of the build. Zombies enter the crawl region and make their way towards your barricade. However, before reaching it, they will start walking against the bookcase shape, not attacking anything in the process, which is key. This prevents a ton of block damage. Now, because the cube half blocks are overhead, they will occasionally try to jump up, but fail, returning to a crouched position. All the while, they are extremely hittable as long as the player is crouching. If they happen to move into the bookcase shape, they become frozen in existential terror and are stuck in the T-pose. Careful, they can still attack you if you get too close, but it is easy to maintain distance and get a bunch of free hits. Now, some of you guys may have noticed this test setup has a completely solid floor. No pillar shapes, no plate quarter shapes, and that is to demonstrate why you need them, especially as a solo player. On Horde, the number of zombies will be overwhelming. It will be difficult to take all of them out consistently before they have a chance to bunch up, and when they do, they press hard against the front line and they are squeezed right into the catwalk rail shapes. Inevitably, they will squeeze through, becoming an immediate threat. Besides that, all bunched up together, they start doing significant block damage. Between needing to make repairs and needing to kill them fast enough to prevent this issue, the solo player is going to get overwhelmed, hence the need for some zombie dropper shapes. Overflow zombies are dumped through the openings while still allowing a steady stream of zombies to melee or shoot to your heart's content. The bottom of the base takes very little damage since the base sets high enough to minimize zombie rage. They'll immediately start the next climb if they didn't outright die before touching the ground. If you were playing with a group, you could consider eliminating the plate quarter row and or the pillar row, as your collective damage output increases to allow more zombies to collect. Option is definitely there, but if playing alone, you need to set it up exactly like this design or something similar to it. And it works incredibly well, even on day 7000 max game stage. You'll be able to handle all the new zombie types with ease, including this jerkwad right here. Sledgehammers are extremely effective with this design, as the knockback can force zombies through the gaps to allow the next ones to come. That being said, you can use whichever melee weapon you prefer with this horde base. As long as you keep up with the kills and occasional repairs, you'll be in excellent shape. Guns are also an excellent option, especially the shotgun. Since all zombies are grouped up in a line of sorts, the penetrating power of shotgun shells is truly amazing. Other guns using AP ammo is also a viable option, which will allow you to shred through through waves of oncoming zombies. This design is incredibly effective and doesn't take a lot of materials to build. Definitely not a day 7 horde base, but you could get a cobblestone version up and running pretty quickly by the second or third horde, depending on your gameplay style and priorities. That's as good as a segue as any to start the build guide, which is extremely straightforward. I'm sure many of you could probably build it already from what you just saw from the first half of the video, but here we go all the same. Start with a row of 4 blocks, which will serve as a wall for the ladders. Feel free to increase the length if playing with a larger group of players. From the corner of the edge block, count 6 spaces and plop down another block. Do the same on the other side. Build all of these 15 blocks high at a minimum from the ground. The corner shapes we placed will eventually be the walls, so let's make that visible right now. And we can fill in the 3 solid rows of cube shapes for the floor after zombies come up the ladder. Next, place down the row of pillar 0.05 meter middle shapes, followed by a row of the plate quarter shapes. Orient them such that it creates a wide gap on the sides for zombies to drop through. Then another row of cubes, which will eventually hold the bookcase shapes, and let's fill in some more of the surrounding wall. Ladders along the 4 block width wall all the way to the top. Line the ceiling with cube 3/4 shapes. Place the wedge narrow lows on the front face of the ceiling and top it with cubes. In front of the plate quarter shapes, place the bookcase open-ended flat on the ground with the shelves parallel with the pillar shapes. And on top of these, put in the cube half blocks. Fill in the side walls and expand the floor as needed. Now we can place the cube 7 meter round catwalk rails 0-1 shape as our barricade 2 blocks high, covering the span of the bookcases. Fill in more walls and add an additional layer of cubes on top. Add additional supports to the floor you are standing on as a means to deter zombies from collapsing the base. In the back, we'll place a ladder towards the ground, but first put in some additional supports. Build the ladder, but stop 2 blocks above the ground. This will serve as the player entrance. Back on top, place some 2 rows of railings on the roof and enclose the rear with some plates and top with cubes. In the door size toll, place a door. Along the sides, place 2 rows of blocks underneath. This is very important as this will completely block line of sight from the bottom, so cops down below won't shoot at you. Now for the final touches out front. Another 2 rows of cubes in front of the base to prevent would-be zombie hoppers. And just above the wedge narrow low in red, place a row of the railing diagonal. In order to place the top row, you'll need another block to place. I opted for the pillar 0.025 meter shape. With those in place, we can finally place another row of the diagonals. The beauty of this base is that it is quite modifiable. You could easily increase the size of the player platform, even going as far as to make an entire base on the backside, with all your crafting stations and storage containers. So go forth and build, my friends. If you learned anything new and want to help the channel out, please give the video a like as the YouTube algorithm appreciates those in bunches. And if you aren't already a part of the Posse family, what are you waiting for? Hit that subscribe button and tap the bell for notifications so you don't miss the next video. Next week, I'll be doing another base build, but if you have any video ideas of what you'd like to see in the future, share it in the comments below. Before I head on out, Taco Bear and I would like to thank all of our wonderful Patreons whose generosity powers our channel. Thank you all so much. On that note, this is Eerie Knight signing off. See you all in the next one.